Now I thought this was interesting. This is missing person cases from 88crime.org. This is people missing out of Tucson. Of course, you see Nancy here, right? And they have her here with all these individuals I'm talking about that's been missing forever. So the Interview Room podcast, YouTube channel, shout out to them. Chris and his wife went out to Tucson and they actually came up with another theory, okay, that involves a park, nonprofit, and also a car dealership. We're going to take a look at all three of those. Plus, I have some more information for you guys. I did another interview with the inmate who is currently serving life in jail. The one who did nothing but abduct people. Well, I have some questions for him, so I got a hold of him. Stay tuned, Fugitive TV. Welcome to Fugitive TV, and I am your host, Ray Marcel. And what we do here is we take a look at cases, missing individuals, anything true crime, and anything that might need a different point of view or perspective. And the reason why is because I was once a fugitive on the run from the law myself. I ran for 15 years, lived in different countries under different names, and eventually turned myself in. So now I'm using my skills, the connections that I made for good, to help find missing individuals. And in some cases, even help find fugitives that have done something horrific to family members that need to be brought to justice. Well, Nancy Guthrie, all right? There is another theory that's floating around, okay? And this theory was brought on by the Interview Room. Now, shout out to Chris from the Interview Room. You guys go look at it. You guys go follow him. Him and his wife took a trip out to Tucson. And what they did was they showed us a park. And this park is pretty drug infested, homeless camp. And then they also showed us the nonprofit where Annie has her office at, okay? And within that nonprofit, you have Annie's office, and on the same strip right next door, you have a car dealership. And it all triangles back to pretty much Annie's house, Nancy Guthrie's house. So like here is at the bottom of the triangle, the nonprofit in the park, and at the top of the triangle, at the two corners, Nancy's, okay? He went to the park and he said that it would be, it would be a place where you can hire somebody or get somebody to do some dirty work, okay? So say like, get somebody to be like porch guy. And is it possible that maybe somebody from the park, even if they were hired, but maybe overheard any information that was going on, let's say with Annie Guthrie or anything like that, because she's pretty much right next door at her workshop, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at that. Not only that, I had some questions about things before I did this video. So I was able to reach out, and the person I did the interview with, who's currently serving life in prison, and all he did was abduct and kidnap people in South America, he was able to reach back out to me. So I had to wait to do this video until I contacted him because I had some questions. So he couldn't stay on the phone long. It was only about a 5 or 6 minute conversation, but he was able to tell me some things. All right. So I'm going to let you guys know what he told me. But first, let's break down this theory of what Chris said on the Interview Room. Now, the park angle. Could somebody have been, at the park to recruit somebody, or could have somebody overheard something? Anything's a possibility in the situation. Be honest with you, we cannot cross out anything. If somebody came to us right now and said aliens abducted Nancy Guthrie, do you have proof that they didn't abduct her? That would be my question, because everything is almost on the table right now. Why not? Hey, everything's game. So let's figure it all out, right? But he mentioned a park. Now, the park is Estevan Park. Now, for you guys who've been following me, I actually spent a little time in Tucson. I told you guys this. When I first went on the run on my 15-year stint, the very first time I went on the run, Tucson was one of my first destinations because I actually was in Colorado when I got in trouble, went on the run, and then went down to Arizona. I was also in Vegas, but that's a different story for another time. But I went to Tucson. And the reason why I went to Tucson is because I knew some people there that connected me with some things that I can't tell you guys about. But I ended up crossing the border a couple of times into Sonora. But the way I did it was through underground means, okay? Through underground tunnels. I had to do it a couple times. Well, I'm not too familiar with this park that he's talking about, but I do know Tucson does have a lot of drug and homelessness, even when I was there, in certain parks and in certain areas. Now, here is the $1 million question, okay? Now, I've committed crimes before. I've been locked up with criminals. When I was on the run in my little underground stint and doing what I had to do, I had to associate with them sometimes to vanish and do other things, okay? And you had to be a trustworthy individual, depending on, let's say, the height of the criminal, or maybe even the rank of the criminal. You had to be a trustworthy thing. Now, I know some of you guys are probably thinking, like, what am I talking about? Well, this is just an example. Just an example. Let's say you have a drug organization going on, narcotic organization, all right? You have the kingpin sits up here at the top of the pyramid. And then underneath him, you might have your lieutenants, and then you might have your sergeants, and then you might have your foot soldiers, okay? Now, the foot soldiers are the ones that are usually on the street. You see them on the street corner in front of stores. They're the ones selling out the nickels and dimes, things like that. And when you think about people who get caught the most selling drugs, narcotics, it is usually the foot soldiers getting caught the most before the kingpin or the lieutenants. Because the kingpin is not in the streets, usually getting his hands dirty. He's the one behind the scenes making all the deals, collecting most of the money, and spreading out the product, if you want to say, to the foot soldiers, all right? Now, the foot soldiers will be on the street. They, a lot of times, will hustle and sell to anybody because they're trying to make a dime. They're trying to make a nickel. So they're hustling and selling to anybody. That is a lot of times why they will get caught more than the kingpin first, because they're on the street. And a lot of times, hey, they'll just sell to anybody. Now, smart ones will only sell to repeat clients. Some of them won't. Or it will be a repeat client that comes up with a friend. And because that is a repeat client, they trust the client. So they're going to sell it to them in front of their friend, blah, 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 because it's like, hey, this person's with me. All right. And then sometimes that friend will end up being undercover or a snitch, narc, whatever you want to call them. Now the street soldier is busted. Now the guy that sits up here, the chief or the kingpin, whatever you want to call him, he has a lot more trust issues, okay? He is not going to talk to everybody about his business because he has an empire going on. Not everybody's going to be able to go up into his so-called office, his trap lore, whatever you want to call it, and talk to him, okay? I don't care if you're a friend of a friend of a friend. You're not always going to be able to get in there to talk to him. Sometimes it will take you proving yourself to even see who this king person is, okay? So it all depends though. Some people move differently. Some people are more trustworthy than others. Some people are not. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because the whole recruiting somebody out of a park to possibly do something for you, like, let's say, kidnap Nancy Guthrie. Okay. Now, I've seen situations personally where people have been recruited and they were a stranger and they got recruited pretty much to do something And 100% of the times, if that person didn't know them and they just got recruited out of the blue, 100% of the times, it was some sort of a setup. It was some sort of a setup. Okay. It was, hey, I'm going to recruit you. I need you to do this, knowing darn well this guy's probably going to get caught. This guy's probably going to die. This guy's probably going to do something. But it's almost like he's distraction while he's getting caught or dying. The real people are getting away with it. Happens a lot. Okay. Now, when I got in trouble for what I did, I started one of the biggest car rings in the whole state. Okay. Through dealerships. All right. And the dealerships were involved in this. And the person that I was working for at that time, okay, I was brought in through a friend. I had to prove myself first before I was even given an assignment because he didn't trust everybody. So I had to prove myself before I was even given an assignment. And not only that, the man did a background check on me too. He actually literally did a background check on me. He wanted to make sure I wasn't a snitch. I wasn't on anybody's paperwork because it was a big organization going on at that time, okay? And the same thing applies nowadays. Now, who would be the type of person to hire somebody out of a park? It's most likely not going to be the kingpin. So I've been telling you guys from day one, porch guy, whoever's in front of Nancy Guthrie's house, I don't think he's the main character. I know for a fact he's not the main character, okay? He was sent there from somebody else's orders, all right? Him and the whole crew. There's somebody else behind the scenes working it. Just like if that ransom note is real, I don't think Porch Guy wrote the ransom note. No. Everybody had their own set of skills and what happened. Somebody maybe had a set of skills of getting away driver. Somebody maybe had a set of skills of knowing the area. Somebody had a set of skills of hiding IP addresses and sending out ransom notes. Somebody had a set of skills of how to withdraw maybe Bitcoin and get away with it because it is possible. Yes, the feds can trace a Bitcoin, but there are ways, and I know this personally because I used Bitcoin when I first went on the run. There are ways that you can get away with using Bitcoin. You just have to know exactly how to do it. And by the time the law enforcement will catch on, by the time the funds get released and they can see where the funds went to, you're long gone, okay? So it is possible, but you have to know what you're doing. So I don't believe Porch Guy had all those skills in one. Usually a person, when an organization or people commit some sort of crime and they're organized, they know what they're doing. You guys seen Ocean 7 and Ocean's 11, right? It's the same exact thing. Same exact thing, okay? It's just that the movies stretched it out a little bit. But one person is this, one person is that, one person is this. Now, Kingpin going to the park and let's say recruiting somebody, or the head person going to the park and recruiting somebody for Nancy Guthrie. That one I don't see at all. Because I'm going to tell you one thing. A lot of these people in the park are homeless or drug addicts. All right? Meaning, a lot of them are not trustworthy. Think about this. Would you trust a drug addict, a crackhead, meth head, whatever? Would you trust them with $100 they're not going to spend it? No. Would you leave one in your house and they're not going to steal nothing? No, you're not. So a lot of them aren't trustworthy. And it's not the fact they're not going to steal or take something. It's the fact of their mouth. Because all it takes is somebody to come and bribe them. All they have to do is be strung out. And they need their next hit. And all it takes is somebody to come with some narcotics and say, hey, I see, hey, here, this is for you. Here's a little sample. Here's a little sample. Give me more information that you know about with this case, and I'm going to give you this whole bag right here. Now, most of the time, they're going to flip on you. So person up here in the organization is going to know that. I know that. I'm not going to hire somebody from the park myself, or I'm not going to go get somebody from the park myself because I know that's going to happen. Now, let's go to the foot soldier status. Remember, I told you they're a little different. With a foot soldier, if the kingpin told a foot soldier, hey, I need you to go take Nancy Guthrie, and I need you to do something. Would the foot soldier go to the park and maybe hire some people or get somebody? He possibly might. He might. He might need a getaway driver. He might need somebody to dress up as a Porsche guy and just fumble around with the roses. He might need somebody like that for a distraction. Okay. And now you might ask yourself, well, what about, him telling on somebody, or why haven't he came forth and told somebody? We're going to get to that. But that could be a possibility. Not only that, they talked about a couple Walmarts that are close by. Now, we all know the backpack allegedly that was in the video came from a Walmart. All right. They talked about they could have went to the Walmart and purchased a backpack, one of these Walmarts. Now, I personally don't think that they went into the Walmart and purchased a backpack, because here's one reason. All these products have barcodes on them. Okay. And usually these systems like Walmart, Home Depot, things like that, usually all they have to do is search up the barcode, because they all pretty much have the same barcode. The same product will have the same code. Okay. So all they have to do is search up the barcode and then see how many times that code was sold. It's going to have a timestamp. It's all going to leave a paper trail. We all know Walmart has cameras and everything, the self-checkout, so all they got to do is look at, okay, this backpack was sold on Friday at 2:55 p.m. Let's see who bought it. Looking on the camera. All right. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible. FBI could have got that information a long time ago and just not telling us. But if they did go to a Walmart and, and that's where they got the merchandise from, could have possibly stole the merchandise. Now, pay attention to this. Would you hire one of these people I talked about to go steal something out of one of these stores that you might need? All day long. Because if they get caught in the store, what are they going to say? Oh, such and such over here told me is going to pay me $50 to steal from Walmart. First of all, loss prevention is going to be like, I don't care, and write them up a ticket, or, and then police going to get called and probably send them to jail. Because you don't have to tell the person what you need this jacket and this mask for, or whatever they're stealing. You ain't got to tell them that, hey, could you give me a jacket and a mask? A lot of times cops are going to come and just arrest them, trespass them, and everything else. They're not going to get all into that. They're probably not going to believe him. Think about how many people are, I was sent here to steal. Think about that. Who do you think's going to believe? So yeah, I would do it. I would do it. I would send somebody out to go steal something for me if I needed to go commit another crime. I would definitely do it. Now, like I said, if they did go to Walmart, I think they stole it. If they did go. Another option is, I don't know if you noticed when he was around Tucson, if they have those drop-off donation centers for used clothing and things like that, sometimes they'll have like just a bin, or it looks like a trash can, but it's not, it's got used clothes in it. I know plenty of people who have dug in those bins, okay, to get clothes to go commit a crime in. You know why they would do that? A lot of times the person dropping the clothes off in the bin, think about, what did they leave on the clothes? A lot of times, a lot of people don't wash the clothes, they just drop them off. And if they don't wash them, what's on the clothes? Their DNA. So I know some people that will dig into those bins, grab some clothes to commit a crime because this person's DNA is on it. And if this person gets caught up, hey, that wasn't mine. I dropped it off at the bin at the Salvation Army, whatever it is. And on these bins, a lot of times don't have cameras on them, so they don't know. But it gives the criminal enough time to get away with what he did, because they're harassing this guy because his DNA could be on the sleeve, But I've seen people do that. So it's possible they could have did that too from the bin. Before we get into what the inmate said, because it kind of relates back to the park, the nonprofit was also mentioned. Now, I did get some emails and I saw some rumors that the nonprofit was also closing, things like that. So I wanted to look to see if they had money issues. I looked up, I saw who the board of directors was. or are, and I saw who the main person is. Now, I'm not going to name any names or anything like that yet, but from what I saw, they're not closing permanently. They're going through a leadership change. I could not find who the new people are going to be, I guess, or the new leaders are. That part I couldn't find. But the old people, I didn't really see any much on that. So the person who runs it now, who has it and runs it now, I really don't think they're involved, just because, now I could be wrong, but I don't think they're involved. I've looked through all their social media. I looked through everything, okay? Another thing was the car lot next door. They brought up the car lot. Now, the car lot is Tucson Future Classics, okay? They have a very high rating. I think it was 4.8 or 4.9 on Google. Very high rating. I have a business myself, and I have to try and maintain a high rating for my business, all right? So, I looked into that. I looked into who owns it. The owner, I didn't see any relation to the Guthries or anybody else like the Dailies. I didn't see it. I'm still looking, okay? The owner does own another company. It's a transportation company with logistics. So like semis, cargo vans, things like that. Is that business, associated with them? I don't know yet, but I did look into that, okay? Now, the possibility of could one of those cars have been used? Here's the thing, guys. If one of those cars were used, they either would have had to been stolen, which, did he report any of his cars stolen lately? That would be a great question. Or the owner would have to be on it himself. Because a lot of these dealerships, I don't see them lending their car out. Some dealers only want you for a test drive. It all depends on how big the dealership is, okay? If they'll let you even test drive it yourself. Now, would he rent a vehicle out? I went on a website. I didn't see anything about renting vehicles out. Now, I don't know about how the Arizona works with laws and renting vehicles. I know a lot about renting vehicles, okay? I have a Toro business, which I rent vehicles on Toro. And in my state, you got to have proper insurance before you even start renting vehicles out, okay? If you don't have the proper insurance, you're about to get shut down. You can get sued if anything happens. Now, I'm not saying this guy would rent vehicles out and don't have proper insurance. I don't know. I'm just saying I can't find anything. But he does have a 4.9 rating on Google. Now, could those be, fans, friends, and family members? Yeah, it could be, right? But still, it looks like he's trying to maintain some sort of integrity, okay? I didn't see any reviews of this guy scammed me. This guy took my down payment. I didn't see any reviews like that. And that's what I was looking for. Because if I saw reviews of this dealership sucks, they took my down payment. Now we're looking at, oh, okay, this guy could be scamming. But I didn't see that. Now I thought this was interesting. This is missing person cases from 88crime.org. This is people missing out of Tucson. Of course, you see Nancy here, right? And they have her here with all these individuals I'm talking about that's been missing forever. Karen Grajada, as you see right here, they even did an AI image of what she would look like today. She's been missing since 1996. She disappeared from Tucson apartment complex located at West Valencia. Then it asks if you know any tips whatsoever. Today she would be 37 years old. Wow. And the reward is $1,000. You have this one. Okay. He's been missing since 1991, guys. James Jimmy Hendrickson. Reward up to $1,000. Then you have this lady here. Very, very, very pretty smile. Same thing. Reward up to $1,000. Merlana Eklevane. A Tucson native was last seen on Friday, September 10, 2010. in the 900 block of West Missouri and has been missing since. The mother of two, okay, is 5'7", 155 pounds, with brown hair, brown eyes, with a scar on her inner right forearm, tattoos on her upper right shoulder of Athena and Xavier and Big Joe. So the other two of those might be her kids that are tattooed on her, but she's been missing since 2010. And then you have Nancy Guthrie, who's the newest on this page. Also now this reward for 102,500, this is just through Crime Stoppers. Okay. So this is through Crime Stoppers, and 100,000 of that is from a guy who decided to donate the $100,000 to Crime Stoppers. Now, the 5-6 minute phone call I did have with the guy, which if you guys been following me, I spoke to this man before, okay? I can't give you his name. I can't even tell you where prison he's located in, all right? And I told him I wouldn't do any of this. He is currently serving life in prison right now, all right? All he did was abduct people in South America. This man has never had a job, okay? All he did was abduct people, run products, things like that. All he's ever done. Okay. Now he's currently serving life in prison, actually here in the States. And during my first talks with him, I told you guys what he told me. He said every time he went on a run, is what they called it, an assignment, it would be no less than 2 people, no more than 4 people. You don't want too many people because there's too many witnesses, too many mouths to open, too many eyes, too many ears. You don't want too little people because you need somebody else at least to drive, or at least somebody else to control the product or control the hostage, whatever it is, because you can't do both at the same time. So you say you at least need a minimum of 2 people. He said anything over 2 people, those people, okay, those people, what he told me, usually don't last. Pretty much he said they're guinea pigs. They're used. They're used as an extra body, okay? Let's say you need a getaway driver. Oh, this guy can drive good, but we only need him to drive good. And then after we're done driving and getting where we're going, off with his head, he's dumped off in the field somewhere. Get where I'm saying, guys? So, he told me that during the first interview. Now, I asked him too about the whole park thing. I said, would you? Now, he said personally he wouldn't, but he did say if you needed somebody who was expandable or you can get rid of real quick, that would be a perfect place to go, because the park is filled with homeless people, it's filled with meth heads, crackheads, whatever you want to call them. It's filled with them. And what the saddest part is, a lot of these individuals, either they have family and the family just doesn't care about them anymore, or they don't have family. One of the two. So if they go missing, nobody knows anything because the family hasn't really spoken to them in years anyway. So if you have somebody from this park who is currently an addict and you need them just for an extra body to go steal some clothes from Walmart or take something, or you need them to go act a fool in front of a camera, you need them to do anything. Afterwards, you just dump them off. You get rid of them, if you know what I mean. Terminate them. Nobody even knows. He said, most likely, if somebody was out of the park that had something, like if they were directly involved out of any of those parks and they had nothing going for themselves, they're most likely no longer breathing or no longer with us. And I agree with him with that. I totally agree. Because if I put myself in that situation, I would do the same thing, because I could not risk them telling. All it takes is for somebody to go to one of them and say, hey, we'll give you $1 million. There's $1 million reward, right? You think they're going to think about, oh, I need to buy this house? No, they're going to think about how much product and narcotics can I buy with $1 million? Hand it over. That's what they're going to think. And it's sad, but it's true. And they're going to say, hey, this person came in a Mercedes and they decided to do this and they sent me off to Walmart to go buy merchandise. And next thing you know, we're at this lady's house. They're going to tell it all. So you can't risk that. They have to go. Now, my last few videos, I've been talking about, the border, the Mexican border and how they're digging for Nancy. And I've been telling you guys about the fields that are out there, okay, on the Mexican side, okay? They got these fields where people were buried. Some of them were, let's say, example, like coyotes that didn't pay their fees, any sort of smuggler that maybe didn't pay their fees, even sometimes people that want to cross, they die of heat exhaust, things like that. And they just bury them here in these killing fields. On the Mexican side, there is a few places on the Mexican side that these fields exist, all right? And the person that I'm talking to, he really can't say a lot, all right? Because you got to remember, you can't where he's at. So he can't give me too much information, all right? And I don't want him to give me too much information at that. But what he was saying that he wouldn't be shocked if not Nancy, but if one of them was taken by there somewhere and dumped off, because there's people in these fields that have been there for decades. So if they haven't found these other people, they're not going to find this individual. That's what he told me. You guys let me know what you think, all right? Comment below about everything that I said. Now, do you think that if you put yourself in the criminal's shoes and you had to get another body, where would you get one from and where would you even use that body? How would you use him? And would you keep him on a roster or would you do like the guy told me, he's got to go, got to get deleted? And even without talking to the man that's been in prison, myself, I would feel the same way. He's got to go. He's got to get deleted. If I was doing something on that large scale. And do you think that there is a puppeteer or a kingpin or somebody that's up high that is controlling and sent Porch Guy and whoever else was there? Because I've been telling you guys from the start, this was no accident. This was targeted and there's more than one individual. It has to be. So you guys let me know what you think. Please comment below. Even comment where you're watching this from. All right. We're almost at 30,000. Please, let's get to 30,000 subscribers by the end of the summer. That is the goal for right now. All right. We're almost there. You guys have helped me grow so fast. I'm one of the fastest growing channels in the true crime sector, probably because I can give you this different point of view, which I love it. You guys love it. So let's continue to do this. All right. Please take care of one another. Love one another. All right. Look out at your surroundings. Watch your surroundings. All right. Until next time, this is Fugitive TV, and I'm out.